Get this recording on. Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to this fantastic vocal health session with Josh. Josh has led a number of these sessions for us over the last few years, and your choirs, Encore Choirs, doing fantastically. Fantastic lockdown videos. If you haven't seen his lockdown videos, Encore Choirs, maybe you can find the links for those and shove them in the chat because they're really fantastic. And feature, actually, Rob, you're in the last one as well, aren't you? I think you were in the last one, weren't you, on cello? Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, looking forward to a really exciting and interesting and useful session this morning. So everyone, let's welcome Josh. Hello, Josh. Over
Hello.
to you.
Morning. Well, hello everyone. How are you? You all right? I realise you're all muted, so you can just put a thumbs up or whichever needs to be. So I will be sharing my screen today, and we'll be going through a few different things. Oh, hello, morning, Nick. How are you? We're just getting started, so you haven't missed anything yet, which is great. So this morning we've got lots that we're going to be going through. We're going to be talking overall, of course, about vocal health. So I'm just going to share my screen with you all. So just checking, can everyone see this? Wonderful. So if you do have any questions throughout the session, please do pop them in the chat, and there'll also be a chance for questions at the end of the session as well. So who am I? And then I thought I'll put a little gag in there. 2, 4, 6, 7, 1. If anyone gets the reference, maybe not. So my name is Josh Robinson, and I actually trained at the University of Winchester, which was brilliant, doing the vocal and choral studies and performing arts degree. So my background is in voice studies, and it was such a great time, and a special big thanks to Music Centre, because I wouldn't have got through my uni experience without you guys. So it was great being involved in all the choirs and the instrumental sessions. So brilliant. And since then, what I've been going on to do is get myself involved in as much CPD as possible. So following lots of practitioners in the business, some amazing practitioners, trying to see what they do, what their approach is. And personally, I don't have a one way, this is my way. I try and include whatever I can and whatever I feel fits purpose. I try and get things from different areas. And then most recently as well, I've just done the vocal health first aider course, which means I've now got sort of a better understanding overall of vocal health. And also what comes as part of that is being able to assess people and then refer them on to the appropriate people. So that's a little bit about me. So we're going to talk about what is vocal health. Well, vocal health has lots and lots of different areas, I feel. It's not just one thing. It's not just that hygiene, drink enough water, he says with this bottle here, or, don't do drugs, all that sort of stuff. It's a whole broad range of different things. So I'm going to put some of them up here. So obviously we've got that whole vocal technique element, which in turn really helps with vocal health in the long run, how you develop that. We've got our mental and emotional health and mindfulness, how when we're feeling stress, how does that affect the voice? How can we overcome that? How can we work through those times? We've got our physical health as well, of course, keeping fit and healthy. If our body is feeling tired, then our voice is going to feel tired as well. So we do have to keep on top of that. And then, of course, there's those general vocal hygiene things that I was talking about, the sort of, I guess, do's and don'ts, particularly for singing and speaking, what's going to be useful there, what's not. So we're going to go through quite a few of these little elements today. Now, obviously, we've only got a couple of hours, so we're not going to be able to include, everything that covers vocal health. This is going to be what I think is the most important things for today. So I just thought I'd start off with the lies and the myths that we might hear, because I think we hear a lot of them around, and there's lots of stigma around vocal health and stuff like that. And I just want to unpick some of these things. So we've got our lovely lovely thing where people say, let's sing from the diaphragm. I'm sure many of you might have heard that. In fact, who has heard that? I just see a little raise of hands. Yeah, wonderful. I thought you might have done. And that's fine. And I think I know what people were trying to say there, is that they're trying to feel something down here, some sense of activity, so that we can have a healthy voice. But when we say sing from the diaphragm, we just need to remember the diaphragm is a muscle. It sits in the rib cage. When we breathe in, it goes down. When we breathe out, it comes back up. And we have no feeling of the diaphragm whatsoever. It's got, apart from one nerve going into it, we don't have any sensory feedback. So when we're telling people to sing from the diaphragm, then what people try and do is scramble and try and search for some sort of feeling when they actually can't feel it. And then it might end into sort of more problems than not. So we just need to be careful with that. And the other thing is that the diaphragm is the muscle that helps us breathe in, and then that's it. The abdominal wall does the rest and helps us breathe out. So actually it has no use in breathing out. Lovely. Squeeze from your bottom or squeeze from your abs. We might have heard that one too. If we have anything that is in a sort of fixed, rigid, squeezing position, then we are going to run into problems. And I'll just give you a little demonstration of this. If you all just put your hands out for me. And all I want you to do is just squeeze your hands as tight as possible. Really squeeze. Now, probably what you've noticed straight away is that you've held your breath. So yeah, okay, great. So I'm seeing lots of nods saying, yeah, I held my breath. And that's what happens when we start to squeeze and try and engage things that don't need to be engaged. There are some muscles that we will talk about. Singing anything other than classical, dear, will ruin your voice. Well, we've heard that for a long time, haven't we, that classical is the only way to sing. But we now know with lovely lots of modern science that's not true. It doesn't matter what style we're singing, it's just how we use the voice efficiently to do that. And then I'm just going to try and quickly get through these ones. Nodules is the end of your singing days. There are ways to get through any voice problem. It's just seeing the right person that's going to help you with that. So I don't want you to worry about that. We might get to the foods bit later on, but my own sort of philosophy is that we are all human, and we do eat things that sometimes, you know, a bit of junk food, a bit of chocolate. I love a bit of chocolate, me. We all try, you know, we've got to be human about it. But also when we are singing, yes, at times there are things that we might need to think about, but effectively they actually don't, none of the stuff that we eat or drink actually touches the voice. It doesn't go anywhere near the vocal folds. So we sort of, it affects people very, very differently. And then the very last two is the drop your jaw fully to sing high and look down to sing those high notes. Well, both of these do the same thing. Both of them suppress the larynx and push it down. And if we're trying to get and sing up there, the voice can't rise and do its thing. And that's the same with the jaw. And the list goes on. There's lots of other things there, but I just thought I'd get some of them out there now so you don't need to worry about them. And if you hear them, you can just sort of put them to the side. So moving on, understanding the larynx. Hopefully you can see my full screen because I'm covered in pictures. So what is its primary function? Well, the voice is there to serve a purpose. Two things. One, it helps us to swallow and digest our food. And the other one is the open valve airway for breathing. They're the primary functions of the voice. And speaking and singing is a secondary function. Yeah, so first is breathing, singing is secondary. Now, I'm not going to go through all the muscles of the larynx because quite frankly, it's really boring, and I don't think you'd be, you want to be sat here, me telling you all the different parts of the larynx and dissecting it. So all we're going to do is just put our hand out, and we're just going to put our hand nice and flat on our larynx here. That's it, nice and flat. Don't press in too hard, just gently resting on there. And all we're going to do is we're going to do a little swallow. Great, and you'll notice that the larynx there probably, well, so no, not probably, it did. It went up and then it went down. So you can try that again. If you swallow, it goes up and comes down. Lovely. If you do a bit of a yawn, you can see there that it then pulls down. And then if you just do a little puppy whimper of the sort, or a bit of a cry or a moan, something like that. You might notice that you just feel a little movement forward and back there, and that's where it's tilting. And then there are other muscles inside the larynx as well that turn inwards like this, the arytenoids. So the voice moves in all different ways. It goes up, it goes down, forward and back. There's bits inside that are moving like this. So it moves in all 6 planes. And the only reason I'm telling you this is because it has lots of little muscles, and we are working with muscles. And I think as singers, sometimes we forget that it's muscles, and we want it to be perfect first time. And as I was saying to Neil yesterday, sometimes we need to think about singing. In fact, I would say most of the time, but we do forget, is that singing is a sport. So, you know, Usain Bolt didn't get to where he was without training and you know, developing his musculature over a period of time. It's exactly the same with singing. It takes quite a bit of time. So this is where we get into the first part, and just to let you all know, there will be quite a bit of practical element to this workshop. As I was saying, vocal health is quite broad. We are looking at the things that we can do with our body to help keep our voice functioning efficiently. We can look at our mental well-being, our mindfulness, how that affects us. But what we're going to start to look at now is healthy voicing, how we can get the best out of our voice and get it efficient. It's all about balance, and some days it's different to others. So you will find that it's really about balancing and finding what works for you. So we're going to start by looking at some postural alignment. I've put a little text box there. In order to sing efficiently, the muscles of the whole body need to be relaxed. So we talked about that. You know, if we squeeze or we're too tight, the voice just shuts off straight away. When we think of alignment, we like to imagine there's that sort of plumb line going past the ear, past the shoulder, down the hips, down to the middle of the foot, as you can see on those pictures. And there's good posture, bad posture. But I will remind everyone that no one has textbook posture. You know, you see in those lovely Alexander books where they're so upright and straight. That is really not the way that we look when we do that. It's what works for us, because all of our bodies are different. Lovely. And then we're about to build the body up now in different sections. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to make this a little bit practical. So here we go, stop share. There we go. So if you can, and you have the space to, if you can, do stand up. And if you can't, don't worry, just sit, and we'll build this step by step. That'd be really great if you could stand. So what we're going to start by doing is putting our body into alignment. Now, if something is out of place in the body, you know, if we've got one shoulder more forward than the other, the voice will be affected. And it's the same as, doesn't matter where it is in the body. If our sort of hip is pointing outwards, you know, we've got a bit of sass going on there, or, you know, one kneecap is dropped and the other one is locked, that will affect the voice. It's a little bit like, you know, the game Kaplunk. If you pull one thing out, it could all go tits up. It's pretty much like that. If something is completely out, then the voice will have an effect, because it's like building blocks. So I'm just going to start from the feet. Normally, it doesn't really matter where we start. I'm going to start by moving from the feet upwards. So if you will stick your feet just flat on the floor for me. Lovely. And even if you're sat, you can still do this. It's not a problem. And just remembering that when we stand up, this is how we go through it. So I've got my feet facing forward here, not sprayed out, but do what is most comfortable for you. And that's really simple enough. Let's move to the knees now. So for those people sitting, this is great for you because your knees are already unlocked. But for those of us who are standing, lots of us tend to lock our knees in place. And as soon as we do that, our thighs and our hamstrings get really tight, which then has an effect on the abdominal wall, which then has effect on the voice and so forth. So just unlock those knees. Now I tell lots of my lovely students, whether it be for the music service or at the university, wherever, I tell them to think of like they're about to do a little plie. So if you want to add in the arms and just do a little practice with a little plie, you can, that's absolutely fine. But unlock the knees. Great. And then the next thing we look at is the hips. And this is where we're going to start to get a little bit of movement going on. So the best way to find our alignment is to use what we call range of motion exercises. It's basically where we move the body, and then once it comes back and it's sort of recalibrated itself, we find a better place. So just notice where you are, where your hips are now. You know, are they further forward? Are you someone who's tucked under and you've got a straight back? Have you got quite a big arch at the back of your back? I know I have. I've got quite this arch at the back. And just notice what that is like. And all we're going to do is, even if you're sat, you can just slightly move your hips. We're just going to tilt out to one side. So we're going to pop it out. Bit of sass. Yeah, that's it. Great. And then, oh, the single ladies. Oh, yeah. And to the other side. Great stuff. This is it. We'll just turn this into a dance routine and just do 2 hours of, yeah, that's it. Great. And then we're going to go towards the back. And we're going to move to the front. Lovely. And we're going to do the time walk. No, we're not. And then we're just going to do a figure of 8 now as well. So obviously this is a little bit harder for those who are sat down. Lovely. And then we're going to just tuck our bottoms under. And then we're going to stick them right out. And then the very last thing we're going to do is just let our tailbone almost drop to the floor. It just feels like it's been lightly pulled down. So already what you might find there is more of a center in your hips. You might not notice it, but that just recalibrates the system a little bit there. Great stuff. Then I'm going to move to the chest and shoulders now. So keeping those knees loose, everyone. Make sure you haven't locked them up. Wonderful. Great. And the hips where they are, nice and relaxed, tailbone to the floor. And we're going to go up into a Y position. So it's fun to stay at the... Great. So we'll put them up into a Y. Brilliant. Love it, Les. Great. And then we're going to almost pull them down into bench press position, which is something I know nothing about. Lovely. And then we're going to pull our elbows towards our backs. And then all we're going to do now is relax the arms, but keep the shoulder girdle as it is, nice and open. Okay, who now feels that element of lift in the chest that they didn't have a moment ago from doing that? And the shoulders are just a bit more open. This is going to help just to bring the neck back, keep those shoulders open so that the rest of the body and the muscles that we're using for singing can work efficiently. And in turn, that will give us a healthier voice because we won't be having to work so hard. So it all comes under this vocal health and technique. Because if our alignment is in a better position, more ideal for us, then our voice can work more efficiently, more effectively, and then we'll have, you know, a little bit more range or whatever it might be, a better quality of sound. You might notice some difference. And then the very last one is the lovely head. Now, this is the one that tends to come forward all the time, especially in this day and age, because we've all got these wonderful little devices that just entice us in, that Facebook calls or whatever it might be, TikTok, I don't know, I'm not on any of them. And our head ends up coming forward. So we've got to really, in singing, be careful of this lovely head and neck position that's happening. So we're going to do some range of motion exercises here as well. What I want you to do is make sure that your knees are loose, everything else is where it should be. Do keep that shoulder girdle open that we've just done. And we're just going to turn our head to the right and to the center Wonderful. Anyone would think they were coming to do a dance class, wouldn't they? And to the other side. And back to the center. And we're going to go all the way forward. And all the way back, almost chicken neck. And then you're going to come back into the way where it feels comfortable in the center, almost ears over shoulders. Great. So all of you are looking absolutely fabulous now, and you've all grown about 2 centimeters taller as well, which is wonderful. So what we're going to do, just really quickly, particularly with the head, is we're gonna add some voice to this now, and we're going to see what feels most comfortable for you. So I can see that all of you have got this now, a bit of a longer neck, shorter front, longer neck, which is what we want. But we're just going to put that into practice and do some negative practice as well. So I want you to pick a note of the chord. Any for you, I don't mind. Let's have a lovely major 6th chord. I don't mind which one you choose. Gentlemen. And all we're going to do is we're going to play around firstly with this head and neck position, moving all the way forward, back. Now, obviously, when we move it forward, you'll notice the difference in sound. And I want you to find that sweet spot where it feels like, oh, the voice is ringing out there and it feels most comfortable. I'll demonstrate first, just so you get an idea. So I'm going to start just relaxed and normal. You can hear a real change there, can't you? So for me, this is the point where it really rings out. Now, I'm not changing my volume at all. All I'm doing is moving my head forward and back to find that place where it feels like, oh, that just rings out, and that feels easy. So here's your chord. Oops. And just in your own time, just play around with that head and neck position until you find that lovely sweet spot where it rings out. And off you go. Lovely, give yourselves a bit of time to do that. There's no rush. Please don't rush. Lovely. Okay. All right. Who noticed the difference when they were in that place and they thought, oh, blimey, actually, that does make a difference there? Great. And you can try that exercise as well with your hips in different positions, because that in turn will have an effect as well. So try it with the hips, try it with the old Kim Kardashian, try it with the shoulders and chest dropped, because negative practice is important, because then when we put it into active alignment, which is where we want to be for singing, you can then go, oh, okay, that's the difference. And it's really good to just come back to that every now and again, because it reminds us of where our body should be in the space. And it might change daily. It might change, if we've been holding a bag all day long and traveling somewhere, although we're not going anywhere at the minute, so we might not be doing that. But if we are, we've got a bag on our shoulders, that could in fact, make this, change this. So do come back to it. Great. So there's a bit of alignment for you. Now, if you can, do stay stood if you are, because we're going to do a little bit more on body work in just a second. I'm just going to share my screen with you all again. Okay. So this next one is body balance. Now, I don't know, I just thought this picture just really made me laugh. We don't want that to happen. So once we have found our ideal alignment for us, we can then look at body balance. Now, I've referenced this at the bottom. This is not my work. This is Gillian Kay's from her This Is a Voice book. she's a fabulous practitioner, and if you want to grab that book, This Is a Voice, it is brilliant. It's got sort of 99 plus exercises to just keep the voice moving. It's a really great book. So, body balance. Now, this is going to be harder now for those people who are sat down. So it's just trying to, this is being recorded, so you can always come back to it once we've done. So find that lovely alignment that we've just found. Nice soft knees, feet facing forward, open chest. Imagine this, yeah, lovely little YMCA. And then we've got that head position that we've just found for our lovely E. Okay. What we now might feel is the weight of our body is in a funny place. So whilst you're stood there, those people who are stood, just ask yourself, where is the weight on your feet currently? So whose weight is on the backs of their feet right now? Who's more to the front on the toes, on the balls of the feet? And then who's more in the center? Okay, good. If you're in the center, that's a good sign. And I can't tell for those people who've got cameras off, but I assume it's probably one or the other. It usually seems to be. So we'll do this anyway, especially for those people who are doing it, because you might find there's a bit of a change. So if you've got your weight too far back or too far forward, this can also slowly unalign what we've just done. So all I want us to do is a lovely another range of motion exercise. We're going to put our weight all the way to the front of our feet. That's it. Please, no one stack it. We're going to move over to the right-hand side and put our weight on our right foot. Of course, this goes without saying, if you've got any sort of problems with feet or any parts of the body today, just do what's comfortable for you or leave it out. Moving to the back of the right foot. I know, I nearly went then as well. Lucky I've got a wall behind me. And then back of both feet. That's it. Moving over to the left foot, hand side. Great. We all look like we're mimicking a thing of a roller coaster. And then to the front of the left foot. And front of both feet. Wonderful. Coming back to the heels. Great, coming forward, and then we're going to go to the outside of both of our feet, so we can go like that. The inside of both our feet. Wonderful. We're going to come up onto our tiptoes. Coming down. And then, excuse me, lifting our toes up off the floor. Now this is the one to be really careful of. And then just place your toes down. Okay, so who now feels more centered after doing that? Who feels there's more of a center there? Obviously, yeah, great. And you were the one of the people who had it in the center the whole time. So that just helps us to have that range of motion. It's almost like, you know, when you've got a screen and you're trying to recalibrate it by pressing all the little dots. It's like that, but with the body. We just move things around and it recalibrates and the brain goes, oh, okay, this is how we work against gravity. So there we go. That is body balance. This is going to help us keep our voice efficient because we're not going to be putting extra strain on our physical body. The muscles don't have to work so hard. So that would be my first step in healthy voicing. You may sit down now as well if you want to. I know, it's all this working out. It's getting hot, isn't it? Whew. All right.
Sorry, I've still got my pajamas on.
Oh, you know what? I don't mind.
You didn't have to know that, did you?
I even showered this morning. It was a special occasion. I was telling the others. I showered. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Okay, we get to this lovely hot topic of breathing. So, there's lots and lots of different things out there about breath and how we use it for singing. Some school of thought might be that we need to push out when we sing, or really use the muscles to engage and switch them on. Some people say if you squeeze your bottom cheeks in, this helps us to support the sound. There's lots of things out there. What I am going for here, and what I think is really important, is to go for the one that the body responds the best to. And that, I think, I believe, from the research, is our natural tidal breathing, natural tidal breathing respiration. So if we were laying down flat on the floor, or when we're just about to fall asleep at night, our natural instinct of breathing kicks in. Obviously, it's naturally in there all the way through the day, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But once the belly starts moving, you might notice sometimes when you're asleep, you can just see the belly rising and falling. That's the one we're going to go for singing, because it's the one that reduces the most tension. So I've got here, how do we breathe? Now that is a whole topic on itself, so I'm not going to go too much in, but we've got our lovely air out here and the atmospheric pressure. The diaphragm then sucks in the air, brings it in for inhalation. And then once we get negative pressure in the body goes, right, there's too much pressure within the body now. And then the abdominal wall goes, right, let's push that pressure out, pushes it out. And then we get a vicious circle, and that goes on and on and on and on. I've put Y accent method breathing for singing, but I've sort of just touched upon that. It's because it's the one that we respond to most, and it has the best research to show that it helps with healthy voicing. Now, I'm not going to talk about those sort of lots of those things underneath, but I am going to jump to this one here, which is the abdominal support. So, there we go. Now, you are so welcome to do this one sitting down if you want to. I'm going to stay sat as well for this, but it does help to stand as well and do it in that alignment, but we can stay sitting. So find that lovely alignment that we've just found. If you've got a back to your chair, you can just rest your top of your back against that. Yeah, that's perfect. And keeping this open, and we're just going to find that lovely head and neck position as well that we've just found. Nice long back of the neck, short front. Fabulous. Oh, you will look wonderful. Okay. And we're going to start to look at breath. Now, breath is the thing that powers the voice. Without breath, without breath, we just wouldn't be here. But without breath, we wouldn't be able to power the voice. Breath is what brings the voice together, not blows it apart. Now, just as a little cool demonstration, and I love using this with younger children because they always find it fascinating. If I was to say to you guys, if I was to blow in between these bits of paper, what would your response be? What would happen? You know, we would think that they would blow apart, wouldn't we, if we blow in between them? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to disprove that and show you that once you blow, sorry, I feel like I'm teaching Granny suck eggs. I hope this doesn't come across as really stupid. But if I blow in between these, you can see that they come together. So I know that's a really sort of basic and cheesy thing to show you, but it just shows you that when the breath comes past the voice, it brings it together. So we need the breath to work efficiently so that we can bring the voice together efficiently with this lovely sort of vibratory motion. So, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So if everyone places one hand on their lower belly for me. So I've got my thumb on my belly button and the rest of the hand just sits underneath. Now, if you want to stand, you're more than welcome to, but if we stay sitting, that's absolutely fine. And what we're going to start by doing is just exhaling all of the air in our body until we get to that place where we're like, oh my gosh, I need to breathe. And you just hold it there for 5 seconds going, oh my gosh, I need to breathe. And then as soon as you after those 3 or 5 seconds, please don't pass out, just release the belly, just let it go. All right, so I'll just show you what I mean. Hopefully you can see me okay. So I'm going to exhale now. Letting out all my air. And then I just let go of the belly, release. So can you all try that for me? Let's just try that. Releasing all your air, hold it for 3 to 5 seconds, and then let go of your belly, let it flop out like you just had a big dinner. Okay, off you go. Okay, lovely. Fabulous, great. So I saw the right thing there. I didn't see anyone's lovely chests or shoulders getting involved. And what was great about that, folks, is once you let go of your belly, you automatically breathed in. Now, I didn't ask you, I know you needed to breathe in because you just, you were like, I need to breathe. But I didn't ask you to breathe in. I just asked you to release your bellies. And usually when we think breathe in for singing, we think, I've got to take breath into the whole body. And actually we don't. All we need to do is not think breathe in, is just release the belly. And that makes life so much easier because then all we need to think about is the breathing out. Sometimes we think, yeah, where do we need to breathe in this song? But that's not how do we breathe, that's just where do we need to breathe. So we're going to try this now. We're going to simplify it. I'm not going to let you all run out of oxygen again and go home and, you know, you'll be ending this going, he's torturing us, not being able to breathe. So all we're going to do is a gentle shh, and then we're going to release. We're going to let go of the belly, let it splat. Some singing teachers might call this splat, which is singers, please loosen abdominal tension. All right, so let's try that. Let's just let the belly go in on a few seconds and release in your own time. Here you go. Watch that head and neck alignment, folks, as well. Splat. Splat. Lovely. As you do the sh sound, just gently guide your tummy in as you do so. Here we go. Splat. Wonderful. If you're struggling with the belly moving inwards, that's no problem. We just take you back to a starting place and just say, hands on bellies, suck your belly in, release it. Without the breath, suck the belly in, release it. Suck the belly in, release it. Yeah, thank you, Nick. She's put that in. And actually, I think, yeah, splat was first developed by Janice Chapman. In fact, it was someone else before her, but she coined that phrase, the singers, please loosen that abdominal tension. But thank you for putting that in there. That's great. So let's go back to the splat again. Here we go. And splat. And again. Splat. Good, so you're taking in your breath for free and you're not breathing anywhere else into the body for now, which we'll talk about in a second. Great, let's add a little bit of voice to this now. So let's just add in some voice. We're going to do splat. Splat. You might find it's a bit wobbly, that's fine. The more you do this, the easier that will get in time. There you go, and splat. Splat. One more. Splat. Splat, let go of the belly. Great stuff. All righty. So you might be thinking, okay, we're making some crazy noises. Why are we doing this? This is to help bring that lovely voice together efficiently like we were talking about, but it also means we reduce pressure in the rest of the body. Now, Have I got any tenors in the group? I'm a tenor, wonderful. And this goes for everyone as well, but tenors as well, particularly just because I'm a tenor, so I'm just saying that. Often we have those big notes. We tend to want to take a big old breath into the body to help be ready for those big notes. But actually that's just going to build up the tension in the body. So we're going to do a bit of negative practice here again, like we did a moment ago. And I'm just going to ask you all to take a massive breath into the whole of your body and hold it there. So here we go, massive breath, the whole of the body, lift your shoulders, bring it into your chest, off we go. Hold. Okay, tell me, in that position, what does your throat feel like? You can let it go. Yeah, it feels like garbage, doesn't it? It feels tight, pressurized. Let's do it the other way, the lovely accent method way. Let's allow our bellies to travel in. So we're going to do shh, splat, then hold. Here we go. Shh, splat, hold. Okay, what does that throat feel like now? Much more open, much more relaxed. And you so took in enough air for you to be able to sing a long phrase, even with that short amount of air. And just think about it, you know, when we speak, and I do a lot of speaking, you can probably tell, when we speak, we don't really even think about how much air we take in. We just, well, in my case, we just waffle on and on and on, make people sick, and we just keep on talking. So, you know, that's the same for singing. We don't need to take these gigantic breaths. Actually, that just builds up pressure, and then makes the voice incredibly tight. So if you're someone who feels like your voice is getting tired or tight quite quickly, after, you know, when you're singing particularly, check your alignment, check your breath flow, and just see if you are taking in breaths into the whole body or into the chest, into the shoulders, and try and keep that nice and low. Let's do a little exercise now then with that breath in place. Now this takes a bit of time. It does take a good few months, if not years, to get the muscles to get used to it. Muscles aren't very good at picking up things very quickly. Our brain is, but our muscles are a little bit behind. So I'm starting on an A flat on the piano for those people. Basses, I know we've got some basses here. You can start down there. Lovely, then everyone else can start the octave above. And we're just going to do on a V. So I want us to splat, we're going to allow the belly to travel in, and then once we finish the chromatic scale, we're just going to let go of the belly. Here we go, 2, 3, 4. Splat. 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 One more. Lovely. Okay. So I can see there from the people that I can see, not one of you, I saw your shoulders raised, which is a really good sign. It means you're not getting in those extra muscles that are going to affect the voice. So there's just a little touch on breathing for singing. Now, obviously, if you want one-to-one sessions or whatever, we could focus on that more, but hopefully that's given you a bit of a tool to reduce some of the pressure and help your voice to go into that. Next thing we would do after that, which we can do a little bit after before we move on, is just move that into vowels and then into either speech or singing, depending on whether we want to use it for speech or we want to use it for singing. So if I was doing it for speech, I might do something like, hello, how are you? I'm good, thank you. And start to include that lovely breath flow movement into the speech. And speech and language therapists do that quite a bit. And I've had the great chance of working in some clinics before lockdown and seeing what they do. And this is exactly some of the stuff that they do, is they use these sounds and then go into speech. And then we could put it into vowels for singing. Basis. Let's try that, everyone. V, 2, 3, 4. V, splat. V, splat. V, splat. V, last one. V. Not bad for 11 o'clock in the morning, right? All of us having to sing. Great stuff. You can now start to apply that to your singing in those longer phrases, in your pieces of music. Pick a snippet and just try doing it on a v first, whatever it might be, and then add in the voice slowly. Lovely. And what I'd like to do here, Neil, if you're happy, is just give everyone 5 minutes to pop to the toilet, grab some water, have a drink, whatever it might be, and we'll convene back and we'll start at about 3-4 minutes past 11, if that's okay. Great. Just gives you a chance to nip to the toilet.
Who needs a wee?
I wonder where that was coming from then. I was like looking up.
Sorry. Rob's got his water. Look, he's a good boy.
And nice to see you, Nick, as well. Thanks for joining.
She all quiet. Perhaps she's gone for a wee.
Yeah, maybe.
What have you got, Arden?
Got a litter picker. I've got some litter pickers as well.
I just got the litter picker. So I thought I was going to go around Winchester and pick up litter. And I thought maybe I could adjust my screen.
Yeah.
But it didn't work.
Good idea.
Because my laptop is up here and my big screen, it monitors down here. So, but no, that didn't work. And my new hobby is going to be picking up litter.
Our village normally has like a day each year that everyone meets up and goes out and does a big litter pick in the spring. But of course that's encouraging gatherings now. So there's this big campaign where every time you go for a walk, you pick up litter that you see as you go all the time. It's really cool.
Good.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
There's actually not much around where I live. I'm right next door to the university. So unless it's because the students aren't here, I'm not sure.
Could well be.
They sometimes drop stuff on their way home past our place.
Yeah.
Because we're surrounded by student accommodation. So Joshua, are you based in Winchester?
I'm actually based in Portsmouth now. So I did study there. I did live in Winchester for 4 or 5 years, a year or so after, and then I moved to Portsmouth because it was a little bit more central to where all my different jobs are.
Okay.
So, but not too far, And I I was pre-lockdown still coming to Winchester once a week anyway to do some teaching at the uni. It was lovely, but can't do that at the moment, so obviously. I do love Winchester. If I could afford to live there, I would live there for the rest of my life. But
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah.
can
It's so expensive though.
yeah.
I'm having weird things with my camera. It keeps moving around and shutting off. It's very odd. Sorry, that's why my video's been going on and off. Yeah. There we go. Thought I'd share that with you. Carry on.
I turned my video off simply because I'm learning and listening, but not necessarily doing and learning, and taking the opportunity to sort some stuff out in the office as well. So, but I am listening and learning.
I believe you.
Honestly, I am. I haven't gone anywhere. I've been sitting here the whole time listening. So. Just this pile here of stuff needs to be sorted at some point. So
I like them up.
Yeah.
I've got mine here and I'm not even using it. It's just...
Oh, yeah. This is a work one. And Neil bought them like last term, didn't you? He ordered a load of new stuff, and I thought, well, rather than sitting in the office not doing anything, it may as well come home and do stuff in the office.
So what are your virtual choirs? Have you got a link for those?
Yeah, thank you for asking. They are, you can see them on our website, which is encorechoirs.co.uk. And it was all
Song called choirs?
I'm sorry, Encore. I'll put it in the chat.
Encore choirs. Okay.
There you go. Plop it in the chat there. And the two virtual choir videos that we did were both for different charities. So the first one was for Age UK, and the last one was Rowan's Hospice, which the wonderful Rob was involved in as well. Played a bit of cello. So
Gosh, it didn't show up in my chat.
oh, sorry, I sent it as a direct message to Nick. Sorry, Nick. There we go. Here we go. I'll try it again. There you go.
Ah, great. Choirs.com.
Have a little watch of the latest video. Fabby. All right.
So Josh's last two videos, Josh wrote or collaborated with the choirs to write the last one, and then you wrote the previous one, you and Joe, didn't you? So they're original pieces, and they've done a really fantastic job. Whereas a lot of people have done like
cool.
You know, some Eric Whittaker or you know, Lean on Me or something. Encore Choirs have done original music, so it's really nice.
Was was music that I didn't have like copyright for, so I thought, well, I'll just write me own. It's the first time for everyone.
Oh, brilliant.
So, all right, so let's get started again, if that's okay with everyone. Thank you. So, I'm going to start with the next little section. So we've just been talking about our breathing mechanism, how that moves and works for singing. We're now just going to really quickly touch upon, and I do mean quickly. Hello, Mr. Cat. We're going to touch.
Cat is a nightmare. I'm sorry.
We're going to touch on primal sounds. All right. So primal sounds are the sounds that we make that are they're natural sounds that come to us, particularly, you know, when we're babies, we might cry, and it's how we connect to them. So, for example, when we laugh, that's a primal sound because it's a real reaction. It's something that happens when we cry, when we're moaning, all those things, when we whoop, when we cheer. We all have a little bit of connection there. So if you stick your hands back on your tummies for me, as you were doing so long ago. And I just don't want you to just do, let's have a little moan. Let's just go, Lovely. How very British. And just have a little laugh. Lovely. And then just pretend you've got, you know, your most favourite food in front of you, and you're just going to do Great. Can everyone feel that engagement there again in the abdominal cavity? Something just has a little trigger and you just feel it pulling. That is our natural response, excuse me, to primal sounds. The belly just wants to move. So we can use that in singing. Now, the next step of that is if you all just grab your thumb for me, and I want you to stick it in to the side of your body here, and then just wrap the rest of your, like a little gun, I guess. I'm not advocating for violence. Just stick those two fingers around the front along the hip bone, and just go back to those primal sounds and just do a Okay, do a So a little moan. Who is feeling that muscle at the side engage and push out? You might not be. It is quite hard to find, and this is, you know, this is exactly what Neil and I were saying, is that in workshops sometimes I like to be hands-on or get people who are with each other to work together, and that makes it easier. That is the difficulty, of course, of doing it online. But if you do dig around and just and play around with that, and then do or woo, hey, all those sorts of things, call outs, try different things, have a little search, and just do some of those call outs or whinges or laughs. Hee hee, woo. Are you starting to, have you found that now? Are you starting to feel that muscle engage? Wonderful, great, brilliant. So these are the supporting muscles that people often talk about. You know, what is support? Well, we've got the lovely breath flow bit that we've just done with the accent method breathing. Then we've got these muscles that need to be switched on to help us support the sound. So this is going to be really brief and really small, but we're just going to do a bit of singing, folks, and we're going to do it to, I think I've picked a song that everybody knows, and Neil, tell me if I shouldn't be singing a song that's not within. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so we're going to sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
I was going to say, unless it's got loads of swears in it, other than that, it's fine.
We're going to do some Jay-Z, some Shady Rock. Just Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So, gentlemen, somewhere, ladies, somewhere. Here we go. Let's just try the first bit. 2, 3, 4. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby. See the heard or dreamed, not sure. So what I would like to do, and if you feel comfortable, is there anyone who wouldn't mind being a little volunteer? And you can say no, and if not, we'll carry on. But if anyone doesn't mind giving it a go and unmuting themselves and singing this, I'd like to just work on this little moment of using the breath so you can get some practical implementation. Is there anyone that would be happy to give this a go? Just that first bit of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Neil?
Yeah, I'll give it a go. I don't mind being the guinea pig.
Legend. All right. So, sorry, I sprung that upon you there. And
all right.
So, yeah, get yourself limbered up.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. Now we're going to do backflips. Neil, just do a few sirens first, just to warm your voice into it. I know we've done a little bit, but just do a little bit of. Okay, beautiful. All right, so was that at a comfortable pitch for you? That?
Yeah, should be all right. We'll see. If I sound like a duck, you'll know not. Yeah.
So I just want you to sing the first bit. Just Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I dreamed heard of once in a lullaby. That little
Okay. Okay, so with you or just by myself, yeah?
Yeah, because of the time lag.
Because of the time lag, of course. Okay. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I dreamed of once in a lullaby.
All
I got
right.
the words wrong, but apart from
Beautiful sound, and well done for getting through all that phrase in one breath. That was wonderful.
thank you.
So, I just want to work on one thing here, which is with the breath, with what we've been doing with the primal sound. And that was that when you did that lovely octave jump, and that's, you know, it is a hard jump to do, is that there was quite a difference in volume. So we had somewhere, you know, quite big at the top, and we want to keep that nice and level there. So just, if you can, stick your hand on your tummy, and everyone can do this as well. And we're just going to make sure those support muscles are on. So one hand in the side, one on the front, and you're just going to do hee hee, or or hey, whatever it might be. Everyone can do that a second. Oh, a bit of a whinge. We're very good at that. We're British. Lovely. Whee! Okay, all feeling that? Great. Okay, Neil, so I'm coming back to you now. So when you're singing, just do a and see if that little side muscle is switched on for me. Yeah, feeling that flick.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's right. Right, if you can feel some engagement there, that's fine for now. So we're going to just do the slide up from that C to C. Wonderful. Now, as you get to the top, just think lighter. And imagine it's a little bit like a sort of whimpery, whingy sound at the top. Here you go. Let's just go from top to bottom. Just go like a sigh. That was really good. Okay, so just notice what that feels like, and I think you've done some work with me before, and Hannah, so I can know that the breath is moving there. And just do nice and light on the top. And much better, yeah, much lighter on the top. So now apply that lovely same volume and just do somewhere over the rainbow. Imagine it's that slide. Here you go. 2, 3, 4.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I thought of once in a lullaby.
Lovely, nice, well done. Great. So already that top note, and obviously we would do this a few more times if we had some time, and we're gonna move on. That top note, particularly the octave jump and those lovely notes, was just a bit more even with the breath, and it flowed through a little bit easier through the phrase. So great, thank you for that, Neil. That's really great. So there's just a little work on breath there, and obviously the more you do it, the easier it gets. Okay, thank you, Neil. All right, I'm gonna move on. Oops. So we've done a little bit of looking at primal sound, that's the supporting muscles. We've looked at the breath, and these are some of the things that are going to keep our voice nice and healthy. So vocal health, how do we know when there's too much effort? Now, both Janice Chapman and Dane Chalfin have their own thing on this. I've sort of made it my own as well here. And we're going to just talk about effort levels. Now, obviously, you can see that this guy on the left-hand side, his effort levels are way too high. And if we were using that for singing, we sure as heck wouldn't last very long. So I like to think as effort levels more as energy levels. And we've got this scale of 1 to 10, or if you prefer, 10% to 100%, or 0% to 100% rather. So we're going to start really low, and we're going to start at just a gentle, another primal sound, doing that, and just put your hands on your voice for me. And we're just going to do, Lovely. So in your own scoring, is that a level sort of 1, 2, or 3, or 4 at that point? What does that feel like for you? It's quite. I'm feeling it's quite low, low effort. Yeah, mine's probably about a 2 there. Great. Now, what we can do is make that a more excited sound, and we can change the effort level. So we're going to stick one hand on our throat, one hand on our tummy now. Do the first one. Just go. Okay, so the larynx is quite light there. Now let's make it really excited. So for example, it's more agreeing. Here you go. Wonderful. So what happened to the belly? The belly had to the belly had to change and work a little bit harder, didn't it, to make that sound. It wasn't necessarily louder, but the effort level or the energy level here was a little bit more. And we can play around with that. So let's start back to effort level 2 or 3, folks, and let's just do a Okay, fabulous. Then let's go to more of a higher effort level, and we're going to do a bit of a call out. We're going to go, hey! So, yeah. Hey! Good. What was that for you guys? Was that more of a 6, a 7? Great. Hopefully your voice didn't feel tired or tight doing that, but sometimes we might be working too hard. Sometimes we might be singing, I don't know, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and singing it at a level 8 volume. Somewhere over the rainbow. And it's like, oh, blinking heck, that's way too much. And all we need to do in that case, that would be hilarious. That's a Shirley Bassey version of that song. All we need to do is ask ourselves for less. Sometimes when we're working too hard, all we need to do is say, okay, I'm going to ask myself for less effort there. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. Oh, okay, and naturally, that's the first thing that reduces it. If not, check back in with your alignment, check back in with your breath. I know that seems really simple and really easy, but folks, if you just ask yourselves for less when you're working too hard, put your hand here and say, I need a little bit less there. What does 3 feel like? What does 8 feel like? Hey! Okay, what do I need in between? And you'll find that, oh, okay, for this particular song, you know, Silent Night or whatever it is, I only need a 4 or 5 or 6. Let's reduce the effort. If I'm singing the Berlioz and, you know, what effort level do you need? The whole thing is like on 10, isn't it? Particularly for tenors and basses. Wonderful. I actually pulled that out the other day, the Berlioz, actually. It's good.
It's just such a good piece, isn't it? It's amazing.
Some great stuff. I forgot about how good it was. Just that brass though. Oh. And the timpanis, the 1,000,001 timpanis in front of us. You couldn't fall asleep in that concert, could you? Woo! Okay, I'm not too, you know, we're getting there now. We're getting into the nitty-gritty bits that people like to know about. the warming up and the cooling down. Now, just so you know, I don't own the rights to these photos there. So, warming up. Why do we warm up? We warm up to prevent injury and so that we can reinforce a good behaviour in the voice, and so that we can develop and increase range and get better quality and all those other things. So I've put what I think a warm-up consists of. And now sometimes, I'll be honest, I don't manage to always get these things in with all my students. But if you are, you're doing a big gig, then you want to be including the majority of these steps so that you really do reinforce that good behavior. So that otherwise, what will start to happen is if you don't warm up and you just go in cold each time, eventually your voice will just wear and tear. You run yourself into the ground. And that's why warm-ups are just so useful, because they bring blood into the voice and then let it be so much freer and easier, and help increase range and quality of sound and all those little things. So, number one, warming up the body. Well, you can do that in a number of ways. At the minute, with a lovely COVID environment, we've got our one exercise a day. You could go for a walk or a cycle or whatever. Or if you're in a bit of a rush, you could just shake yourselves out and get your cardio going, running on the spot, a few jumping jacks, star jumps, whatever it might be, just to get the blood racing in and pumping around the body. We need to do that to keep the body warm. Now, I'll leave that one with you. You can choose your own sort of body warm-up there. It's totally up to you. And there's a million and one different ways that we could do warm-ups. So these aren't the ways, these are just ways that I know, but you could use other exercises, of course. Number two, stretch and release. Now, stretch and release is just so good for vocal health and keeping on top of that. The muscles of the body get tight when we're out of alignment, they get tight when we're stressed, they get tight when we're imbalanced, they get tired when we are tired. So stretching them is a way of just releasing any excess tension before we sing. And I'm going to do some of them with you now, particularly ones that are useful for vocal health and keeping on top of our voice use. So, I'm going to just start with the head and neck, folks. There's lots of muscles around the neck and jaw and tongue that could be stretched before we sing that will be useful. And I'm just going to start with the jaw. Now the jaw, for me, my jaw gets really tight. I don't know about you guys, but I get headaches and my jaw is just something that just likes to get itself involved. So the muscles of the jaw come from the front of the cheekbones here towards the back underneath the ear and at the back of the jawbone here. So they're this way. And all I want you to do is either 2 fingers and gently just move across that muscle. And as you do so, let your jaw release. So like such. Lovely. So make sure you're coming from the front here towards the back. Front towards the back. Yeah. So start near your, yeah, that's it. Near your nose and then pulling down. That's it. Let your jaw go. Okay. And if you want to, and you want to go to the next level, use your knuckles. I really feel that. You could give that a little massage in there if you wanted to, or you could put your hands on your back of your head and use your thumbs, or use the squidgy bit of your thumbs. I don't mind. It's just releasing a bit of tension there and letting go. Wonderful. So that's the jaw muscle. And for its size, it is the strongest muscle in the body. Yeah, apart from the glutes, the jaw is the strongest muscle in the body. Lovely. Next we're going to look at is the tongue. Oh, I love this one. So we're going to do 10 tongue rolls around one way. I'm sure some of you have done this before. And then 10 the other way. And you might feel it either in your jaw, the back of your head, the bottom of your tongue, the back of your throat. Let's just do that together. And the other way. Lovely. You might start to feel that. Stop when you feel that sort of, it's different to pain. It's like a stretch feeling, but don't push it too far. Just go until you feel that stretch, that ache, and then stop. It's not a bad ache. Lovely. The other one you can do with your tongue, there's a couple, is tip the tongue behind the bottom teeth and just roll the rest of the tongue out as such. So I'll show you, I'll go a bit closer in case you can't see me. I'll do it on the side profile. I know this is lovely. And you can roll that out there. Or you can do, stick your tongue out, try and touch the tip of your tongue with your nose. Point down. Good, don't move your head as you do this, move to the right. To the left. And repeat, and you just start to really stretch that tongue. Good, so there's the jaw and the tongue done. Let's move over to the neck, because that's where all the muscles of the voice are. So first one we can do, and I love doing, this is my favorite, is literally just tilt over. And just as you do that, let the jaw release. And just hang in there for a good 5 to 7 seconds. And once you've come back up, you can go to the other side. And then you can repeat if you need to. Let's now turn to the right-hand side, just turning your head. And then slowly, really slowly, just tilt your head down a little bit. And just feel that stretch on the left-hand side of your neck. If you want a tiny bit more of a stretch, just bring your left shoulder down and push it down a little bit. Only if you can. Good, back up and into the center. And repeat on the other side, turn to your left. Slowly bring your head down a touch. And if you need to, just push that right shoulder now down. Feel the stretch in the right-hand side of your neck. And back up. And there's more you can do there if you need to. You can do the rolls, looking up, feeling that stretch. The other side, bringing it up. And then one more, which this is a new one for me. So if you will put your hands onto your chest for me. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to slowly, as you're looking up towards the ceiling, you're going to push your hands down on your chest. And if that's too tight, release your jaw. And bring it back down. Great. So we've stretched all these muscles of the body. Of course, you can stretch and do more with the rest of the body if you need to. We're not going to do that now just because of time. You could stretch more if needs be. Unvoiced breathing exercises. Now, we've done some of them already. So that's the breathing that we've done. Shh. The next step of that might be, if you want to grab a straw and some water and only put the straw in about 2 centimeters and just blow some bubbles. Are those bubbles small and are they bubbling consistently? If they are, then your airflow is moving. If they're sort of dipping in and out, then your airflow is probably not moving as it should be. And that's where you have to go back to the shh, shh. So that's that. You can do that in patterns. Great. Lovely. Let's move into some buzzing. So we've done a bit of this already, but we've just done so let's try that. Gentlemen. 2, 3, 4. Good, so buzzing and slides are a really good way to start to move through your range really slowly without overpowering the voice. And they also massage the voice from top to bottom because we get that lovely back pressure. Great, moving on. Resonance is the shape of our throat and mouth and how we can get a brighter sound or darker sound by changing the larynx position. So as an example for that, if we want a brighter sound, we could all just sing nyum, 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 nyum. So that's nyum, N-Y-U-M. Let's just try that. Or meow if you want. Let's go meow. Meow, 2, 3, 4. Meow, 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 meow. Gents. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. And we can put that into a song if we need a bright song. Do you believe in life after love? Yeah, we can keep it bright and sort of meowy. And that's how we change our resonance and play with that different ways. Articulation. Obviously, that is how we get our tongue moving in different positions. I'm just going to do one thing here. Articulation. I'm sure you guys know there's so many exercises out there. What you want to be doing is working from the tip of the tongue all the way to the back, so all the sort of different consonants, t, d, g, k, working the different parts. But I just thought for a bit of fun, I would do yeah, this is a bit of a tongue twister. It's not got swearing in, but if you get it wrong, then it might do. So so if you have little ones about, just be careful you get this one right. It's not too bad. So this is Sister Susie sitting in a shoe shine store, and it starts like this. It goes like this. Sister Susie sitting in a shoe shine store. Let's just try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sister Susie sitting in a shoe shine store. It moves on to go, all day long she sits and shines. So it's all day long she sits and shines. All day long she shines and sits. Then we switch. So it's all day long she sits and shines. All day long she shines and sits. And then we start from the beginning. Sister Susie sitting in a shoe shine store. So let's try that all together. Sister Susie sitting in a shoe shine store. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sister Susie sitting in a shoe shine store. All day long she sits and shines. All day long she shines and sits. Sister Susie sitting in a shoe shine store. One more. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Sister and shines. All day long she shines and sits. Sister Susie, sitting in a shoe shine store. There you go. So you can get your articulators moving. I'm sorry, Neil. You can cut that bit out if you need to. All right. So just a bit of fun. Keep it light. And you can move and articulate the different parts of the tongue there. Then after you've done all your warming up, you've done your singing, your performance, whatever it may be, then you really do want to think about cooling down. Cooling down is actually, I would say, is probably more important than warming up, if not equal to, because once we have sung, we've got that voice up nice and hot, and then it's easier to go. You could go somewhere and, you know, shout or yelp or, you know, stand on something sharp, and if you need to yelp, that's when problems can arise. You could burst a vocal fold or something of the sort. So cooling down is really vital to after our singing, to help reduce the tension and blood flow and to help reduce inflammation in the throat. We can do exactly the same thing there. We can warm down, go in the opposite way from top to bottom, with some sighs, slides and guides. Nice and light and gentle. Until it's nice and low and comfortable, bring ourselves back down into the speaking voice. Lots of you will have done vocal fry, or creak, or popcorn, whatever you want to call it. And that just reduces the swelling in the voice, brings it back down. Or you can go back to your straw and just gently hum down your straw on an ooh. So I'm oohing down the straw here. And that just brings everything back down to sort of relaxed position. Lovely. How are we doing for time? We've got about 20 minutes, so we're okay. All right. Vocal hygiene. Vocal hygiene, vocal health. Everything that we have done today is, of course, a balance. So when we are singing, we need to think about, you know, how much time are we using our voice a day? And will that affect our voice? All those sorts of different factors. Are we feeling stressed? Is our emotional well-being getting in the way? All these things will take a part in the voice. And so, you know, checking back in, of course, with your alignment, your breathing, and your effort levels will help to keep an eye on your own vocal health. When things start to go wrong, you'll probably notice, I'll just stop sharing my screen a minute so I can see you all a bit better and you can see me. When things start to feel a bit wrong, you probably will either lose quality of voice, or you'll find gaps in the voice, or you'll have missing range. And if you've got that, and you've checked in with all your effort levels and your alignment and breathing, then either it's something else that needs to be checked at, which we'll talk about how you can go about seeking help if you've got a problem. But of course, then there's all those small hygiene elements that are in there as well. So just a quick look at this slide then. Vocal hygiene, well, of course, healthy lifestyle and diet, it just means a healthy body, and therefore a healthy body means a healthy voice. Drinking water. It takes lovely 4 hours for water to reach our vocal folds. So if you are doing a gig or singing, make sure you're drinking well far in advance and just sips throughout the day. Now, actually, I've heard something new about this. You know, this one's 2 litres is fine. Some people say, you know, drink until you've got sort of pale pale wee. There you go. Sorry. Sort of pale coloured wee. Or for every calorie you burn during the day, drink 1 milliliter of water. So if you've got a watch that tells you your calorie intake or whatever like that, make sure you're drinking water, and then a little bit extra for performance and whether you're using your voice. Warm up your body and voice. Of course, we've just talked about that. Warm it up each day. That's going to really help to instill good habits. Take time for vocal rest. So do let your voice have a rest. If you're teaching all day, you know, scheduling breaks where you can just shut off the voice and just relax and rest it. Otherwise, it's going to work too hard. Check in with those effort levels. Am I working at an 8 when actually I need to be just working down at a sort of 4 place here? You can steam. Of course, steam is the only instant hydration to our voice, or you can use a nebulizer with sort of saline. I think it's like 0.8, but I can't remember exactly what the percentage is. So my recommendation is to steam with water and get that hydration, and then wait 10 minutes before you speak or sing after steaming, because your voice will be quite hot. If you were ill or tired or stressed, of course, limit that overall voice use. If you're feeling that way, you need to dim down what you're doing, or just have a slightly lower effort level if you're feeling tired. Otherwise, you're going to push yourself and hurt the voice. And of course, if it hurts, stop. There is no point carrying on. If you've broken your finger, there's no point keep trying to pick up that thing off the floor, because it's just going to hurt every time. So same thing as the voice. So hopefully that's helpful. Avoid shouting. You know, if we shout and start bellowing out all the time, that's going to have, you know, big inflammation impact on the voice. Avoid whispering. That's worse for us than shouting, because the voice doesn't have any sort of efficient breath behind it and slams the voice together. Avoid irritants to the throat, i.e. smoking, whatever it might be. And of course, if you are a smoker and you want to do that, then that's absolutely fine. However, just think about how that might affect your quality of voice, and maybe, you know, either dim it down or try and find the appropriate time if you're somebody who wants to do that. Of course, avoid clearing your throat constantly. You could do a hard swallow in cases of clearing your throat, needing to go all day long. Just swallow and it should go away. Avoid loud environments, or if you are in a loud environment, think about how you can protect your voice, maybe wearing some earphones, earplugs. You don't want to be drinking heavily with alcohol before you sing. Obviously, I know these are really obvious ones, but they're just ones to put out there. And then lifting heavy objects. Some of us go to the gym. As you can tell, I go to the gym every day. Not. But some of us are lifting heavy things. Remember to breathe as you do that. If you're lifting something heavy, try not to let the voice shut off, because it will get tight. And then I've just put, remember, everything is in moderation. So all of this is your life, it's your lifestyle. Just think about how you can best manage all these things for you. I'm not expecting you all to try and do all of these things today. By goodness, no. Just take away one thing. See how that improves your voice. Check your effort levels. How does that help you? Okay, maybe in a few days' time, if you want to look at the breath, oh, that makes a real difference, or the alignment, or whatever it might be, which is going to help your overall voice use. And then we are getting to the end here, folks, before I ask you some sort of questions and try and ask you your thoughts, and we can have a bit more of an open discussion. Is I've just put, Houston, we have a problem. If you have a voice problem that's persisting and you want to sort that out, if it's had a problem for over 2 weeks, so if you've lost your range, quality of voice, if you're hoarse, if you've got pain and it's lasted for more than 2 to 3 weeks, at that point you need to go to your GP and ask for a referral to a specialist ENT clinic, so a voice clinic, not just general ENT, because they just shove a camera down there, but they don't really much care about voice itself. They're just more interested if the vocal folds are happy, are specifically to see a voice clinic. Now, a list of them is on the British Voice Association website. If you need to do that, you can look there and see where your nearest one is and show that to your doctor. Or you can do a first point of call and go and see a vocal first aider like myself, and then I can sort of refer you on to the right people and say these are someone you could see. But stay calm. It's probably nothing. It just might mean that you've got a tired voice, and someone can have a scope, put a scope down there and check that out. But if you have got a problem for more than 2 to 3 weeks, go to your GP and say, I'd like to see a voice specialist, and get that checked out and get referred. Oopsies. Okay, so I effectively get, I think, yeah, to the last bit of the section, which is to just say, let's have a bit of an open discussion. You've sat and listened to me waffle on at you for almost 2 hours now. So, and I'm sure you're getting a bit tired and sick of me. So do unmute yourselves, and let's feel free to have a chat about voice if you've got any questions at all, whether it be about something that I've already talked about, whether it be about something extra. Let me know.
Yeah, Josh, one of the things that I have found is that the voice changes throughout the day. So in early morning, it's quite low, and it gets higher and higher and higher and higher during the day.
Yeah.
There obviously everybody has a particular time of day that's best for them, for their range to sing in. That's not always when you are asked to sing. The timing. How do you overcome that?
Okay, great. That's a great question. Yeah, I find that the same. My voice particularly is higher and easier later evening. So if I was ever going to do a concert, I prefer it to be later. How do you manage that? Well, it's with all those things. I would say stretch and release and warming up. You know, warming up is an individual thing. For most people, you've only just short 3 to 5 minute warm up. But technical exercises is probably the one that would help Les. So if you were going to have a, you know, let's say a one-to-one session, of course, go and see teachers if you've got a voice problem, or if you've not got a voice problem, you just want to work on your voice. It's good to go and see a teacher because they might pick out something that's missing. And obviously, I don't really know your voice, Les, apart from singing in choir before. There might be something that you're missing that could be pointed out. However, I would suggest if you've got a performance that bangs back middle of the day, is to, you know, make sure you're well hydrated and do an extra bit of warming up. Go through the areas of your range on slides that are feeling the most uncomfortable. So, you know, if it's the middle of your range, which for me it's usually the middle, do slides in that area and work your way around them, chromatic scale. And just smooth over them. But, you know, the voice does change, changes, you know, depending how we're feeling as well. And it's not always going to be there for us. So if you've got that big note, you can either say, oh, how do I, you know, sing a different, how can I either work on either changing the melody if you're allowed to and trying to make it easier, or cheating and changing the vowel if it's just too difficult for you on that day. But don't ever push it and try and work too hard. Great. Hello. Is it Arden?
Arden, yeah. I quite often suffer from phlegm.
Okay.
And so I suppose that would mean to do the swallow that you recommended. What would be your opinion on using something like Vocal Zone?
Personally, I don't really like Vocal Zone anyway because I think they taste disgusting. But but the problem with because they've got menthol in, now I can't tell you what not and what to have, but with menthol they have a numbing effect on the back of the throat. So with that, when you start to numb the throat, whether it be with Strepsils or Vocal Zone, for instance, you then can't feel anything, and you think, oh, I can push the voice. You tend to push the voice a bit harder because you can't feel anything. You don't, and then you end up doing a little bit more damage. If you've got excess mucus, there's two things that I would look at. What is it that's causing that? What's the cause of the problem? Is it that is it excess dairy or whatever? Some people it's different. And then to prevent that, I would just steam with just water each day. Before you get up, that just breaks down the mucus, all that sort of stuff really. Yeah, steam or nebulize and just break that mucus down.
Okay, that's good. Good advice.
Great.
I was going to say, I've been in quite a few virtual choirs, and one of them, they really focus on the semi-occluded vocal tract exercise, and we tend to actually sing the song kind of while we're doing it, like
yeah,
which I've been finding that quite useful.
That's really useful because it brings the voice together and gives it a little massage. But do make sure if you're using, this is not a compromise for what's happening down here. So make sure that this is still working, splatting, working, splatting. Otherwise, if you let go of this and think that this is the important thing, then you start to sort of lose the airflow and everything like that. So keep an eye on this at the same time. Splat. Whatever it might be. Fabulous. Any other questions from anyone? Because I don't want to, obviously I realise we've still got 5 or so minutes, and I have finished a bit early, so I don't want to.
Could you, like, if you were going to do 5 or 10 minutes in the morning, or to kind of wake up the voice, or to kind of, if you only had, if you've got a busy day, and you forget, which we all do, but you want to keep your vocal health kind of on point, what would your kind of top tips for things to do if you in the shower or whatever, when you remember, out of the things you've done today or other things?
That's good. I mean, I love sort of warming up in the shower because you've got the steam inhalation in there, so that's hydrating you and bringing the all of that stuff. It's not too hot. I would say slides and glides, or those voiced fricatives are the best thing to do. Moving through and sliding through your range, I would say, is the best way to do that. And as Adam was saying, those semi-occluded vocal tracts, which is all of these, or sing, or zh, or whatever it might be, all of those are really good for just moving through the range. And sometimes when I'm in the shower, for me, I have to have a bit of stretch and release because I just get so tight. I think it's probably because I'm now teaching online and sitting at a chair. And that's the other thing, I didn't mention this, I was meant to, is that we're all online at the minute. And so it is so much easier to come out of that alignment or to work harder with your voice. I'm finding myself shouting more at the screen, trying to, talk to people. Either, put a microphone in front of yourself, which I've boycotted at the moment, or come back to the effort levels and say, right, I need to be at a 3, or put a little post-it note or something, reduce volume, because I know I've worked too hard when I've got a group of people. Just as long as you cool down afterwards as well. But yeah, Neil, right, in a rush, even when you're brushing your teeth, you could do your tongue stretches on the opposite side. But yeah, slides and glides. Any questions about singing in choirs and stuff like that? I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Tell you what we'll do is if we kind of finish the session there, and then we can kind of chat as well afterwards, and if everyone wants to bring anything else up, then that would be then that would be fine. Josh, brilliant. Thank you so much for giving up your morning for us. So much stuff in there that can be kind of unpacked over time. If people want to get in touch with you, how do they find you? Because I know you do online lessons, and as you said, you've come to university to give lessons, and we've got many of our excellence awardees who have come to you for lessons. I've had lessons with you. If people want to have a consultation lesson or get in touch with you, how do they do that?
course. So you can email me at freethevoice@hotmail.com. I had to think of it, was co.uk or com then. freethevoice@hotmail.com, you can do that there, or ping me a message through my Facebook Free the Voice page, if that's easier, or just ping MC a message or something along those lines. I'm on Facebook, so you're welcome to grab me there if you need to. I'm not fussed about how you contact me in terms of that. But yeah, if you are feeling you're struggling or anything like that, do just drop me a line, or if you just want one session to keep on top of a little vocal MOT, I'm more than happy to do that. But everything, of course, is online at the minute, so I will be online for a little bit of time on Zoom.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we like you coming back, is not only do you do really great work ongoing supporting people's, but you also, when I've had a session with you, I felt like much better immediately, so those one-off sessions are also really useful as well for people. So yeah, thank you very much. Let's give Josh a round of applause for a fantastic morning. So thank you, Josh.
Hope that's been useful.
Yeah, very much has been. So yeah, thank you. And yeah, stay and chat. I'll stop the recording now, and yeah, thanks very much.